appears the war against info has not been won yet.
Oh no!
As there has been a temporary setback in the takeover of InfoWars by satire site The Onion. According to reports, sale of right-wing conspiracy website to the parody news platform has been rejected by a bankruptcy judge. After a 2-day hearing, Judge Christopher Lopez ruled that an auction for InfoWars did not actually result in the best bids possible. So now wait a minute here. Is that not a good thing? Don't you want the best bids possible? Yes, but the family has explained that it's actually not the goal. Getting the most amount of money is not our goal. Okay, and I'll get into that. At the same time, while this seems like a win for Jones, it actually isn't. See, Judge Lopez also rejected Jones' claims the auction was plagued by what he called collusion. Yes. Between the Onion and Sandy Hook families. So that was a main charge they're having. It was like, they all got together. You see, they got together with the aliens. The
It's not human intelligence!
With the non-human intelligences and the aliens, you see, the people who are attacking us.
We're under attack!
Okay, and it could be the devil.
It's the devil, okay?
Okay, they all got together and tried to buy InfoWars from me. Unfairly, behind closed doors. So, like, part of that is correct when it comes to the behind closed doors auction. And so, but the other part, the collusion, all that stuff, no, no truth to it. Lopez said the court-appointed bankruptcy trustee who ran the auction made a good faith error. Okay, and that was the other part of the collusion, is that they were all working together. The Onion, the families, and the trustee were all working together, and possibly
it is an alien force, not of this world,
that we're also working together. Okay. Anyway, I know just the nonsense clips that you get from Alex Jones priceless. But anyway, good faith error. Okay, all right. So now here's what Lopez said. Instead of quickly asking for final offers in the auction, they should have encouraged more bidding between the Onion and a company affiliated with Jones' supplement selling business. This should have been opened back up, and it should have been opened back up for everybody, Judge Lopez said. Okay, all right. Now, Jones, of course, celebrated by calling the auction process, quote, both ridiculous and fraudulent. Two things the judge made sure to point out that it wasn't, since it was a good faith error. But anyway, okay. Here's the thing. I get it, right? I understand the judge saying we should open the auction. It should have gone on a little bit longer. Had more chances to bid and all that to make it more fair. Okay, I get it. The interest of fairness, right? And under normal circumstances, I would totally agree with that. The problem is these are not normal circumstances. Okay, and you can disagree with me on this, right? But I don't think the right play is fair. What do I mean by that? I mean that they've got a lot of the money. George Soros, he's got money too. And he only gives you establishment politicians and establishment media. Okay, it's kind of the problem with the money, right, on the left, that it actually doesn't go to the left. It goes to the mushy middle, okay? It goes to the pro-corporate Democrats, all right, that toe the party line. Kind of the reason that the Democrats keep losing, okay? Even though they have a massive money advantage, it turns out that the moderate, the mushy middle corporate Democrats that only advocate for 0.2% change, not exactly popular right now. Okay, as far as it comes to policy positions and things like that, Democrats do have better policy, but the thing is, this country is in a pretty big change mood, right? And so, obviously, Donald Trump's like, oh, yeah, we're going to do massive change. We're going to do so much change. Your head will spin. Oh, my God. Now, of course, the changes that he's going to bring are disastrous. Okay, and I've pointed that out in so many different videos and discussions that I've had before. So, I'm not going to get into how disastrous some of his changes are going to be, especially, if he's successful at his tariffs, which are going to make groceries more expensive. And, oh, here we go. And then the deportation program, which is going to, once again, make food more expensive because nobody's going to be working the fields. Anyway, disaster upon disaster. All right. But people were in a change mood. Getting back to the money, though. Republicans smartly, okay, look, they've got all the a lot of the billionaires, okay? Most of the billionaires are Republican mega donors, and they're not shy about throwing around their money. I almost said throwing away, but it's kind of the same thing, right? But they're giving it to pretty much everybody. And so what they've done is they've been able to build a gigantic, massive right-wing, ecosystem, media ecosystem that does not exist on the left. Okay? You look on the left, it's like me and a few other guys. Okay? It's not a lot of people. Not a lot of people. And we ain't getting no money. All right? We're fighting over scraps. So, look, I would love to get together and work with other leftist content creators and actually build a real network, or at least be part of a real network, or at least support each other and bring each other on the show. Do what a lot of the right wing has been doing, because there is this massive support network, and they go and find right wing creators, and they're like, here's a buttload of money. All right, now let's get together. Let's do talking points. And let's boost each other. We do not have that on the left. It does not exist. And so InfoWars, by the way, part of that right-wing media echo chamber that they have set up successfully. And it's just one of the more fringe ones, where, they have insane conspiracy theories. Now, what I'm worried about is you're going to have a situation where Daddy Warbucks comes in, a billionaire that is going to buy, make a really, really high bid for InfoWars that, of course, the Onion wouldn't be able to match. And then there you go. He's got InfoWars back. And basically, there's been very little justice in this case. Okay, sure, the families are going to get the money, but that's not their point. Okay. Now, here's the thing, okay? It only takes one daddy billionaire, and then Jones is back in business, and he's endangering people's lives, okay? That's the result of Alex Jones and his defamatory actions, okay? This is not just about, I have a conservative opinion. Oh, and I'm going to share it. Okay, I mean, if you have a conservative opinion, I don't care. Like, go ahead. You're free to share it. It's America, right? You do have free speech. The thing is, free speech doesn't mean free from consequences if you defame people. And that's the thing. Jones maliciously targeted families who lost their children and fed millions of people conspiracy theories. Like, oh, they're gonna come take your guns, because of these child crisis actors. That's what he told his audience. He said, quote, Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake with actors, in my view, manufactured. I knew they had actors there clearly, but I thought they killed some real kids, and it just shows how bold they are, that they clearly used actors. That doesn't sound like an opinion to me. It sounds like he's stating facts that are not true. That's defamation. Okay? Especially when he was shown over and over again that actually know that those kids are actually dead. Now, as a result of his words, believers would go and harass the Sandy Hook families. In some cases, like sending them pictures of their dead kids. How sick is that? That's disgusting. Or of gravestones, or even posting their personal information online so that other people can go and harass them. Some had even traveled to Newtown to investigate, and several people had been arrested in connection with harassment of the victims. Their only crime was they lost their child, and they wanted maybe to prevent other people from losing their kids. And there it is. And again, it's all because this guy told them that, those murdered children, they're not actually dead. no, that's just an op to pass gun control. Well, those kids are still dead, and there's still no gun control. So I guess he won on that one. And even though he didn't have the truth on his side. And as a bonus, by the way, he made millions of dollars off selling like Dick Force Plus, boner pills, and other supplements. Let's be honest. Most of those supplements are probably of the I need to get hard variety. Okay. Just judging on his audience.
Tallywhacker.
All right. That's just really about it, what it is. But anyway, that is, of course, until these families took him to court and actually won. I mean, a huge victory for the families. Huge victory. $1.5 billion. That's the judgment. But again, their goal was not to collect the money. Their goal is to prevent Alex Jones from doing this to other families. Now, the money is nice, but it doesn't undo the damage that has been done to them after having to deal with losing their children. And so that's why. Okay. And look, so far, the families haven't received any money. Right. And so what they did is that, yes, they went in with the Onion and pledged any of their projected money from the sale of InfoWars that would go back to them to buying it. Okay. And so that's what they wanted. Okay. And then once they get a hold of it, once the Onion gets a hold of it, then to either shut it down or turn it into a satire site. So that's what the Onion plans to do, is if they do actually manage to get the InfoWars brand and all the stuff, then they're going to, turn it into a satire site, which would be hilarious. Because it already seems like it is a satire site. But either way, the mission of the family would be accomplished, because they would, again, shut down Alex Jones, deprive him of his studio and all of his fancy equipment and things like that, that were basically bought with blood money. Okay, the blood of their children and of course, nonstop, misleading conspiracies and things like that. And then they would send a message to other people who would do the same thing. Put out these conspiracies that, hey, no, if you're not gonna lie about another family, you're not gonna put other families through what we've been put through by this man and his lies, just for profit. So there it is. But again, I'm concerned now that Daddy Warbucks is coming in and is going to outbid everyone. I mean, you already have people like the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, coming in defending Jones. Okay, so that's a worry. And so I'm worried that they're going to get outbid, and Jones goes right back to his tricks. Yeah, the families are going to get the money, but again, not about the money. It's about trying to prevent this from happening again to someone else. That said, it ain't over yet. It is a setback, but we're going to see what the Onion is going to do. In fact, Ben Collins, chief executive of the Onion's parent company, Global Tetrahedron, posted this on social media. We are deeply disappointed in today's decision, but the firm will continue its efforts to buy InfoWars. So there it is. I hope they're successful. And I do hope this bidding process is, sure, more open, more transparent, mainly so that if Jones loses and the Onion is successful in buying it, that, Jones, even though he probably still will, won't be able to bitch about how unfair it is that they had an open process. And so, again, I do hope for the best, but I'm also expecting the worst. President-elect Donald Trump has openly called for corruption, America First style, which is still corruption. On his platform,
Truth, essential.
The incoming 47th president promised that any company that will invest at least $1 billion into the U.S. would automatically receive all environmental approvals immediately. Let me give you the post here. Any person or company investing $1 billion or more in the United States of America will receive fully expedited approvals and permits including, but in no way limited to, all environmental approvals. Get ready to rock. Ah, yes, yes. It's nothing like pay-to-play corruption. America First style. Which apparently means that you can treat America like a hotel room. Come on in, invest $1 billion, and then trash the place. No rules. No rules at all. But come on, Jeff. This is what he means by America First. He's going to get companies to invest again. It's going to be jobs. Okay. The only reason that they're not investing is because of all the onerous regulations. Really? Explain to me then why corporate profits are higher than they've ever been before. If regulations are choking business, right? Why are businesses doing better than they've ever been before? Look, total profits this quarter for American corporations, $3.8 trillion. Yes. Yes. Last year at this time, corporate profits were at nearly $3.6 trillion. They're actually doing way better this year and this quarter. And that's just profit, by the way. Now, wait, am I saying that the economy is great? Well, yes and no. See, I'm saying yes because it's great for corporations. The economy has never been better for these companies. That doesn't mean it's good for the workers, though. So that's kind of the problem here. Nobody really talks about that. Because here's the thing. Profit margins, those massive profit margins for these corporations actually drove, in 2023, 53% of inflation. Yeah. So these are companies saying, you know what? Our costs have not increased. Our costs have actually gone back down from where they were during the pandemic when costs were high. But you know what we did? We didn't. During the pandemic, we passed down our costs, our increased costs to the consumer, and then when our costs went back down, did we pass the savings to the consumer? Oh, hell no. No. Of course not. Why would we do that? That'd be stupid, right? No, we just continued to blame inflation. Thanks, Biden. While we raked in record profits. That's what happened. That's why the economy sucks for us, but it's great for Wall Street. Things are much more expensive now for the average person, and so as a result, we all have less money because it's all been going up to these corporate ghouls who are now swimming in cash. Okay, so then why am I against Donald Trump wanting the companies to reinvest in America? Well, I do want them to invest in America. I think they should be investing. I think they should be raising wages and offering better benefits packages, bringing back all those wonderful things, right? Pensions. But I want them to invest in America, and specifically its workers, but not at the expense of the same workers. See, that's kind of the problem here. I'm all for buy American, but this is an example of your classic supply side economic crap, where they give these companies tax cuts, deregulation, and then they do so in the hope that the profits some of it will trickle down to the workers. Now, the problem with that is that it never does. It doesn't trickle down. Okay? It just doesn't. And so, and also, when something goes wrong because of all the deregulation, pipeline bursts, or massive amounts of people get sickened by tainted food, a warehouse explodes, all stuff that has happened. Guess who pays to clean that up? We do. The taxpayer, the average person. Now, of course, these companies also pay taxes, but their tax burden continues to shrink lower and lower and lower, while the rest of our tax burden, again, the average people, actually gets higher and higher. We're shouldering more and more of the costs than we should. Now, here's the thing, though, right? So if you're a giant company, especially, you've been seeing your taxes your share of the tax burden, your percentages go lower and lower and lower. And the trick here, though, is it doesn't affect small business the same way. Actual small businesses, they get screwed. They get screwed by the big ones. And the reason why is because they can't buy favors the same way that big ones can, because they don't have all that extra money to spend on lobbyists. And so what's funny is that politicians, they all talk about, small business, small business, small business. I support small business. Except that they really don't. They don't mean small when they say small business. Big companies have already purchased enough politicians that have changed rules. And they've changed the rules in such a way where big companies can call themselves small businesses, even though they're not, and then reap gigantic benefits. So that's kind of a problem, right? And it's part of the corruption that we don't really hear a lot about in our giant corporate controlled media. Oh, that's probably why. Yeah. Now, of course, there is the more blatant styles of corruption. Getting back to Trump here, for example, it's when he met with oil and gas executives at executives and lobbyists at a closed-door Mar-a-Lago fundraiser, and told them, hey, if you buy me, all right, then I will do whatever you want. Wait, what? Yes, it's true. Give me $1 billion, he said, for my campaign, and I will destroy all environmental regulations. That's it. Well, I'll scale them back, or I'll remove them completely. Yeah. And by the way, attendees included executives from ExxonMobil, EQT Corporation, and the American Petroleum Institute, which lobbies for the oil industry. And you know what? These companies, they delivered. Yeah. So now, that same event, by the way, was organized by oil billionaire Harold Hamm, who for years has helped shape Republican energy policy, which unsurprisingly just only benefits big oil. Shocker, right? Wow, an oil billionaire shaping Republican energy policy to be super pro-oil? Yeah, shocker. Now, Harold Hamm is a mega donor that financed North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum has been chosen by Trump to be the Interior Secretary. So, yeah. Basically, this is just a big neon sign saying, funnel your donations up here, okay? Because this guy, Doug Burgum, we bought him, okay? He's ours. He's our bitch. And he's going to approve all these things. He's not making these promises, blindly, right? No, he knows that, like, no, you give us $1 billion, or I should say you invest $1 billion. Maybe a lot of that's going to go into my, hotels or, my businesses, right? Invest that money, and we're going to give you everything you want. Great. And by the way, Burgum has the power under the National Environmental Policy Act, which says the federal government is required to conduct environmental reviews before approving energy production plans, infrastructure builds, and other projects. So what Burgum is going to do in that position is he's going to be the rubber stamp guy. And that's it. Insert donation here, right? Or insert investment here, or bribe, whatever you want to call it. And then, we're going to rubber stamp your project. And there will be no rules. That's it. We're going to roll back regulations and, poison the rivers, poison the air, poison the people, do massive amounts of labor violation. We do not care. Have fun. This is your hotel room. Trash it. Go ahead. As long as we got our money. That's it. That's the plan here. Now, there is obviously people that are pushing back on this. Not that it's going to do any good, but still important to share. 314 action, by the way. they try to get scientists into government positions, running for office, which is nice. They wrote this, quote, to tackle the climate crisis, Congress needs to pass and enforce bold, evidence-based legislation. However, Donald Trump doesn't believe that billionaires should have to follow the law. In his world, they can pay to play and bypass crucial environmental protections. That's why we'll always fight to elect scientists who will fight against his anti-science agenda and hold these bad actors accountable. Now, look, I like the idea of putting scientists in charge of science-based stuff. I know. Unfortunately, we are in the middle of this massive wave of anti-intellectualism on the right, where nobody trusts scientists anymore. So that sucks. Now, I do love putting scientists like in office, the idea, just as long as there's people with humanity that are in charge as well, to ensure that science is working in the best interests of people. Because we have seen instances in history where science wasn't actually serving people. It was, and it led to bad things. Think of the experimentation that the Nazis had done. But anyway, I don't bring that up to try to compare it at all. I'm just saying that, hey, as a general rule, okay? Now, that said, with the Trump government that is incoming, we're not only going to have a bunch of anti-science people, but also anti-humans, okay? People who are against any human who is not already fabulously wealthy and can afford their own climate bunker. So, unfortunately, these very, very wealthy people is who the government will end up serving. It'll be of the rich and for the rich. Representative Nancy Mace has gotten a man arrested after she alleged that he had assaulted her. Capitol Police on Tuesday said that they arrested James McIntyre, 33-year-old man, Illinois, just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, after a congressional staffer had reported an incident at the Rayburn House office building. Now, the man who ran a foster home for youth is now facing a charge of assaulting a government official. That seems pretty serious. Now, Mace posted on X that she was, quote, physically accosted at the Capitol tonight by a pro-trans man. Well, wouldn't be a trans man, cis man, but anyway, she said, one new brace for my wrist and some ice for my arm, and it'll heal just fine. The Capitol Police arrested the guy. Your trans violence and threats of my life will only make me double down. Faffo. What's a trans threat? That doesn't make any sense, man. What's trans violence? What? Trans people are way more often the recipient of violence. So, and by the way, this woman, she couldn't even spell out the word trans. I mean, as if it's some sort of dirty word. Like, what are you going to do when you have to spell the word transference? Okay? Or transistor, or transmission. These people, insane. But hey, look, I should take this seriously, okay? Because wow, you got a woman who claimed to have been assaulted at the Capitol. Oh my God, by a man. Yes, it would be a terrible thing if it actually happened. And I don't believe that it did. And this is according to 3 eyewitnesses that were like, yeah, I didn't see that. I did not see any sort of assault, unless you call a handshake an assault. In fact, these eyewitnesses have accused Mace of manufacturing this so-called assault, saying that Mace and McIntyre shared nothing more than a standard handshake, which it wouldn't surprise me. LGBTQ rights advocate Elliot Hinkle told Imprint, quote, from what I saw, it was a normal handshake, an interaction that I would expect any legislator to expect from anyone as a constituent. So, standard handshake. Wow. Hinkle added that the arrest of McIntyre, who was also a former foster youth, sensed the chilling effect of you're not actually safe to go to the Capitol and share an opinion that is true for you, that isn't violent. Because right now, if you do, a congressperson might say that they were physically assaulted and call the police on you. How would a young person in care feel safe? It's a fair question. There's another witness, foster youth advocate Lisa Dixon, took to Facebook and said this: I want to express a deep disappointment in the fact that Congresswoman Nancy Mace came to a national foster youth event, told participating youth that it was a safe space, and literally had one of them arrested by Capitol Police for simply shaking her hand and asking about trans rights. Today was not the day or time for a self-serving publicity stunt, especially if not a politician lashing out at a vulnerable young person who just took her at her word that when helping foster youth, all suggestions are welcome. Apparently not that suggestion. Helping trans youth. So, like, this is gross. All right? If these people are telling the truth, which I tend to believe them more than I believe a grandstander like Nancy Mace, who has, look, she's never met a camera she didn't like. All right? She is always looking for attention. That's really what it's about. And this was happening way before. I remember reporting on Nancy Mace constantly wanted to get in front of the camera, and to try to get out there and to get clout. And so this to me seems like another one of those stunts. Here's the thing, though. LGBTQ plus youth are at risk. They really are. Not only do they experience higher rates of homelessness and abuse, but that leads to higher rates of self-harm, suicide. That's why there's a call to protect trans kids. Look, nobody's out there trying to manufacture or create more trans kids. That's not a thing. You can't treat trans people. Okay, that's not a thing. Okay, trans people are trans people. There's no switch. Okay, there's no thing that you got me. You hit me with the trans ray gun. Shoot, I guess I'm a woman now. No, that's not what happens. That's not the reality. But some conservatives think that's exactly how it happens. They read a book and suddenly you're transgendered. No, that's not what happens. Okay, no. What this is about, the advocacy is about keeping trans kids alive. That's really what it is. And that's why gender affirming care is so important. And gender affirming care does not equal surgeries for minors. No, it means letting them grow their hair out. It means letting them wear the clothes that they're comfortable in. It means using different names and pronouns. That's it. So, and that, yes, turns out you allow kids to do that are trans, keeps them alive. I know, shocker. Here's the thing, though. Nancy Mace should know that. You know why? Because she used to call herself pro-trans rights. But now she has completely backtracked from that position and has decided to go on the warpath against trans people for political gain. And it's absolutely disgusting. And we've seen this. Look, for her, when it was politically advantageous to be pro-trans, then, look at me. I have so much empathy. I will protect trans people. That's right. Because they have rights too. But now it's no longer politically popular or advantageous. In fact, it's outright politically unpopular. And so what happens is, now that it's unpopular, she becomes one of the most toxic bigots on Capitol Hill. All right? And that tells you a lot about who Nancy Mace is. And now, it's even worse, she's getting people arrested for shaking her hand. And she's doing it all for the cameras. And that's what's sick about it. It's for the clicks, for the clout. Disgusting. The truth is here, and it's an unfortunate truth. As I mentioned, being a transphobe is pretty popular. I'm sorry, it is. And sticking up for a community that is under tremendous assault right now is not popular. And so she's gonna do what's more popular for her. Look, Republicans spent $200 million on anti-trans ads during this election. Okay, this is their wedge issue. They have been looking for quite some time for a real wedge issue and a way to sell it, and they figured it out. And now they were able to ride it all the way into power. And now that they're going to get that power, well, they're going to begin the robbery from all of us. And understand that's the main goal here, right? Is to do a massive upward transfer of wealth. I know, there's that word again. Trans. Oh no! Nancy Mace is triggered. I'm doing violence against her. Oh no! Just saying that word near her. She probably thinks it is violence, but anyway, it's all about the money. It's all about the clout. For Nancy Mace, but for Republicans overall, they just want to rob us. Okay, and once they get into power, it's exactly what they're gonna do. And if trans people and their allies have to suffer for it, well, that to them is just a bonus for these very greedy, hateful people. On Tuesday, President-elect Donald Trump named Andrew Ferguson as the new chair for the Federal Trade Commission. So now Ferguson is one of the Republican commissioners appointed by President Joe Biden. Oh, no, wait a minute. You might be like, why did he appoint a Republican? Well, it's because he has to. The FTC is required to have an equal number of Republicans and Democrats. So that's why Biden appointed a Republican. Because remember, Lena Khan was the FTC chairwoman, and that was also a Biden appointment. It's actually a really good one. Very, very pro-consumer, and one of the most pro-consumer FTC chairs in my lifetime that I know of. Okay, and so she did a fantastic job. But obviously, if you put a Democrat as a chair, you have to pick a Republican to balance out that board. So that's why they did that. Okay. Now that said, obviously this is still a Republican, so yeah, he's gonna be pro-business. Okay, obviously. That said, it's a bit of a mixed bag, although the bag is mostly crap. So I'll get into that. But first, after his nomination, he posted this. At the FTC, we will end big tech's vendetta against competition and free speech. We will make sure that America is the world's technological leader and the best place for innovators to bring new ideas to life. Okay, so why do I say mixed bag? That includes a little bit of good. Well, let me tell you. So right now, I think we're all aware that big tech is pretty anti-competitive. Okay, with Google being super anti-competitive and the inshitification of just the internet in general. Yeah, kind of a problem with big tech. All right. Now that said, he does the standard conservative. Oh, we're gonna go against big tech's, anti-free speech, whatever. Yeah, that's just their way of wanting to get rid of moderation on social media, right? So they can scream the N-word, which you can already apparently do on X. So I don't know what he's talking about, but anyway, the thing though that would be good though is going after consolidation, breaking up big tech. If he's serious about that, I think that might be a net good. But let me give you more background information about Mr. Ferguson. Now, Ferguson practiced antitrust law at the law firms Covington and Burling, Bancroft P. LLC, and Sidley Austin, where he represented clients in private antitrust litigation and before the FTC and U.S. Department of Justice. So, when it comes to being qualified in antitrust law, yeah. Now, does that mean he's on the right side of it? Probably not. No, he's probably arguing against antitrust enforcement, but I don't know for certain. That said, there are some things in his background that do concern me, like a lot of it. For example, from 2016 to 2017, he clerked for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Oof. Oh, God. Oh, no. Ferguson then served as chief counsel for nominations and the Constitution to then chairman of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary, Lindsey Graham, and as senior special counsel to then Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. He also served as chief counsel to Mitch McConnell from 2019 to 2021, and in that role, he was leader of McConnell's chief legal advisor and judicial confirmation strategist. Oh no, this keeps getting worse. In June of 2024, Ferguson had dissented when the commission issued a final rule banning non-compete clauses in most employment contracts. Oh, what a disaster. Total disaster. Okay. These non-compete clauses, remember, they were basically saying, oh, if you work at McDonald's, you have to sign a non-compete clause. So if you leave, you can't go to Burger King. The hell is that? So why would you dissent in a rule getting rid of those? Ridiculous, right? Not very pro-consumer. Okay. And there's more. Ferguson also dissented on the FTC's telemarketing sales rule that would have added protections against telemarketing scams that are aimed at elderly Americans. So these are the scams that would basically screw over grandma and grandpa and steal their money. Such scams cost older consumers more than $175 million last year, with the FTC reporting consumer losses of at least $165 million so far in 2024. Yeah. So now, why did Ferguson dissent from that rule? Well, he was arguing that the FTC should stop making policy, given the November election outcome. I think that's a pretty weak excuse, right? And because I think what the FTC was doing is trying to, hey, we don't think that there's going to be very consumer-friendly administration coming in, so we're going to wrap this up real strong. And this guy's like, no, we're not supposed to make policy. Donald Trump won. Well, that's because we don't think you're going to do that policy. We don't think that you're going to protect consumers at all. Seems unlikely to me. But there's more. In September of 2024, Ferguson also dissented when the commission conditioned approval of the $53 billion acquisition of Hess Corporation by Chevron upon the prohibition of John B. Hess from the company's board. So this is an interesting case. I don't want to go into it too much because there's a lot of detail here. But basically, Chevron wanted to acquire this company, and the FTC was like, no, we're gonna use Section 7, of our rules to say that you're gonna have too much market share, basically, if you do this, if you take this company. But wait a minute, they actually don't. So now, if this merger, and actually this merger has been approved under these new conditions, they'd have a 2% market share. Okay, all right. So this is interesting. So again, why did they specifically then want to keep Hess off the board? Well, it turns out that the FTC in its complaint said Hess needed to stay off the board because of his vocal support for OPEC Plus's restriction of oil output that keeps oil prices high. Huh. Okay. So, wait a minute. Hess was like, yeah, man, I really love OPEC Plus because, they're keeping that oil high. It was money in my pocket. All right. Now, Ferguson dissented from this decision saying, well, look, this was a pay for peace. As in, well, the FTC didn't have a real case, but then went in and said, well, we're not gonna approve you unless you get rid of Hess, who wants to keep oil prices high. If you get rid of him, then we'll approve your merger. So I kind of get that reasoning a little bit, right? He said that this merger would be fine because of that 2% market share, so it wouldn't be like anti-competitive, and that the only reason, and I love this, the only reason he says that the FTC tried to block this is because, their climate change agenda. Oh boy. Oh wow. Look, I looked at the case. I skimmed it. Yes, there was not a big antitrust issue here. And so, obviously, removing Hess, that's why they allowed this to go through, right? But there was an issue with the guy effectively telling OPEC Plus to keep prices high, and that's anti-consumer. And so I get why the FTC was like, yeah, keep the guy out who loves OPEC Plus. Okay. So what do I get from this decision? In addition with the other ones, that Mr. Ferguson is not at all interested in protecting the consumer, right? That's it. 100%, he is not looking out for you. He's not going to look out for you. He's not going to look out for grandma and grandpa, right? And that's it. But maybe it's not it, because it's not all bad. It's not all bad. Why? What do I say? Well, Ferguson had actually last week on X applauded Trump's choice to lead the Justice Department's antitrust division. Gail Slater, who Trump highlighted is expected to continue to prosecute large tech platforms for alleged competition abuses. Again, I'm not against that because Google is massive and problematic. All right, especially with their near monopoly on search results. Okay, these tech companies and media companies, I think there does need to be some breakups in Silicon Valley. Now, look, whether they do it, I don't care if they do it because, these companies are too well, whatever. I don't really care your reasoning, right? There are big, telecom companies that do need to get broken up because they're anti-competitive. That said, let's be very, very clear about this guy. We do not expect him to be Lina Khan, because Lina Khan was awesome. She had blocked dozens of merger deals over concerns about over-consolidation, as well as blatant anti-consumer practices. In fact, one of the most recent blocks was the $25 billion mega merger of Kroger and Albertsons. A federal judge blocked that, okay? That merger would have obviously decreased competition, and grocery prices would have ended up being more expensive because they would have a near monopoly, okay? So in addition to protecting consumers with those cases and those decisions, Khan has also gone after big tech, great, big pharma, great, hell, even big mattress, which sounds comfy, but no, not good. No big mattress, okay? Now, look, at the end of the day, I do believe in competition, right? We do need competition, and I believe that we have not done enough antitrust enforcement in this country. We got to break some big corporations up. Now, Khan, I love Khan because she did a lot in her short time as FTC chair, okay? And I love that she pissed off Wall Street while doing it. And I think it sucks now that she's gone. Her term had ended back in September. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that she was replaced, and I'm not surprised that she was replaced by somebody who generally is going to be anti, or at least not pro-consumer, right? That said, Khan had some conservative fans because of some of her tough antitrust measures. And she had some liberal billionaire foes, believe it or not. You had for example, the founder of LinkedIn, who was a Kamala Harris supporter, trying to lobby her if she had won the election, to fire Lina Khan. And so I reported on that. Mark Cuban, not exactly a fan of Lina Khan. And so Mark Cuban, of course, another Harris fan. Whereas J.D. Vance, couch effer extraordinaire, alleged, actually did, though, say that he was a fan of Lina Khan. And so, unfortunately, Trump was never going to reappoint her to that position, and we knew that. But that said, I just want to point out that there are Republicans out there who actually do believe in competition. Yeah. No, it turns out the vast majority of those are not in elected office. Okay. No, it's the average people that are getting screwed over by these corporations, by the telecom companies who have, regional monopolies, the grocery stores. You've got the media. Oh my God, the media, mainstream media. 6 corporations decide everything that we see on television. That's a problem. And you wonder why it's, nothing more than pro-corporate talking points and attempts to downplay class issues in favor of this left versus right, fight. Now, the right wing was actually a little bit smarter for getting away from that. Now, I know, criticize me if you want, right? And I'm going to still point out that most of their media is slop. Okay. But even with that slop, occasionally there's pro-worker sentiments, pro-average people sentiments that do manage to get through, okay, because their media is now so varied. You've got podcasters out there that, yes, a lot of right-wing sentiments, but every once in a while you got pro-worker stuff. Pro-healthcare. So, I mean, it does happen, okay? And that just shows you, but you don't have that in mainstream media, in corporate media, which unfortunately the Democrats will not. So far, they have no plans in getting away from that. No plans in getting away from MSNBC's Morning Joe. No plans on actually facilitating or fostering a more varied media environment that isn't just millionaires in New York City that are doing opinion shows. They're not investing in the podcasters. They're not out there supporting independent progressive media. They want nothing to do with progressives. They won't even come on their shows, and so they're not at all interested. The Democratic Party, and so that's one of the big problems with the Democratic Party. And one of the smarter things that Republicans did is that they actually embraced their so-called independent media. I know a lot of the money did come from Russian billionaires, oil billionaires. But as far as independent media, they do have sort of an independent media environment, more so than the Democratic Party has. And so there's that. But look, at the end of the day, obviously I have a lot of differences with the average right-winger, especially when it comes to social issues. But I do have to admit that there are those who realize that we're being fucked by corporate America. Okay. And that's not, and they realize that it's not because of wokeness. Okay. No, it's because it's for profit. That's it. I mean, the reaction to the murder of Brian Thompson, the United Health Group CEO, shows you that. I've read out plenty of comments from right-wing conservatives lighting up Ben Shapiro and saying, yeah, it turns out that actually we're all getting screwed over by these same insurance ghouls. And maybe Ben Shapiro, you're not worried about that because you have lots of money and we don't. And in fact, you had a lot of conservatives when that happened were like, we don't condone murder, but my sympathy is currently out of network. And look, the man himself, Luigi Mangione, he's not someone you would consider to be a leftist, okay? He's a person with a various mixed bag of, beliefs. But he was radicalized by his own personal pain from back surgery. This guy's a person who came from money, but still ended up being massively anti-corporate. He wrote about things that are true, that we are the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world. And yet we rank last compared to all other OECD countries. Okay, Australia, Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, the UK. When it comes to healthcare, we rank behind all of them. And notice that, all these countries have some version of socialized medicine. Their citizens never have to fear medical bankruptcy. But we do. This guy didn't blame woke. He didn't blame DEI or women. No, he correctly pointed out that, you know what the problem is? Greedy CEOs. Now, here's the thing, right? Greedy CEOs are by design. It's systemic. The CEO has a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit for the shareholders. So, and if you don't, then you get fired by the shareholders, okay, and by the board. Now, that's not a good model for healthcare. It's a terrible model. That's why over 60% of Americans, including about 32% of Republicans, think, yeah, the government should guarantee healthcare for everybody. They're saying it should not be for profit. And I agree. Now, the problem is, of course, corruption. We have all this corruption in Congress, thanks to large corporations buying off politicians with legal bribes. So right now, I don't see a time where we're actually going to get to a place where we have guaranteed health care for every American anytime soon, especially with Donald Trump. If anything, the Trump government's going to set us back by a generation at least. I mean, we're looking at a possible 8-1 conservative Supreme Court now, all right, who will no doubt strike down any effort to rein in the corrosive influence of money in politics. And crush, by the way, any effort that any future, say we get a progressive president in the future after the massively horrible Trump years, tries to do universal health care. There's a very good chance that conservative Supreme Court will strike it down. Just like they struck down a lot of things about the ACA. So, I mean, when it comes to healthcare, I think we're basically screwed. And when it comes to being pro-consumer, I don't see Ferguson as anyone who plans on doing any pro-consumer, policy. The only hope here for me is that he at least does some sort of antitrust enforcement, breaks up Amazon, Google, and the media, massive, corporate media. That's about the best that you could possibly hope for with this guy. Low expectations, but hey, it is the Trump government after all. Low expectations are all we got. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.